Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Connor Williams and today we will be reviewing Friday Night Smackdown here on Wrestle Wrap. So Smackdown kicked off with the Miz and Morrison doing the dirt sheet segment. I thought this was quite a good little segment. There was a lot of humour in it for the audience of an older and the younger perspective. There was a lot of poo jokes like duty. That'd be more aimed for the children. Then, as they mentioned about Mandy Sachs and the Miz getting her taken off SmackDown, they insinuated that the male locker room in Raw will really appreciate her presence there, which brought Otis out as well. Him and Tucker cleared the ring. Otis did the worm and that bomb from the top rope, which is a lot better of a finishing move for him than the worm. Then he stripped Miz down into his tighty whities. Miz ran off with Morrison trying to hold it back, trying to hold his jacket so you couldn't see Miz in his tighty whities. They went backstage where Miz said this was all part of his master plan. So I thought it was an alright segment. I didn't think it was the best I've ever seen those two do. It's certainly not the worst. They are really clever. They're very charismatic together. It's really good to see them together. I actually really enjoyed it when they were on the old ECW and they used to do this. It was really creative then. It was really funny. It was really tongue-in-cheek and nobody was safe on any of the three rosters. I really enjoyed it. It's good to see Morrison back in WWE. I'm hoping this leads to Otis dropping the briefcase because I don't really see him as anywhere near a main eventer for a world title at all. His character for me is a bit near. And Miz and Morrison maybe fighting for the briefcase, you know. Morrison maybe going over, getting the push. I think that'd be really good. Problem is at the minute with WWE, I can't see Otis taking it, and either of those two I don't see beating Roman Reigns at the minute because he's that hot. So we'll have to wait and see how WWE are going to plan this one out. I think really in the future they need to be a bit more careful who they give the briefcase to. I think it was a very short-sighted plan and it's just not really worked in their favour. But yeah, next we have Cesaro beating Gran Metalik. They teased the Lucha House Party falling out again. They were evicted from ringside, blaming each other. Gran Metalik was like, what's going on? Cesaro does the uppercut to him and then gets him for the win. This was really good. Really good by Cesaro. Just get a pin, move on. Easy. I don't see this rivalry going very far. I think they're going to beat the Lucha House Party. I think the Lucha House Party are going to implode, which will be interesting then. Apparently, I can't remember which one it is, but one of them teased with their mask. Like this, like they were going to unmask and be a whole different character. That'd be interesting too. WWE does seem to want to unmask a lot of people at the minute. They did it with Andrade when he came because Triple H said he was too good looking to be in a mask. And El Fantasma for NXT also unmasked, which was a bit strange as well. But again, I think it falls into the too good looking for a mask from Triple H at NXT. He thinks if you've got a face, you shouldn't be hiding it. But yeah, so next we move on to the backstage segment. So in a backstage segment, we saw that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso will face Corbin and Sheamus in a Samoan street fight. Don't know what that is. It's just a street fight. I don't know why they put the silly words like the Halloween street fight. This one, I really don't get how they make it Samoan. At least with the Halloween one, you get pumpkins. God knows, we'll have to find out. But this leads on perfectly to a moment of bliss with Alexa Bliss, who congratulates Nikki Cross, says she's really glad. She asks, why do you think you can beat Bayley? Nikki Cross says, well, there's no Sasha Banks. That's a massive plus. Then Nikki goes, Alexa, I need to ask you what's going on, why you're being weird, since the Fiend. She goes to answer, but then out comes Lacey Evans, who just goes on and on about Nikki Cross being too nice. She's not got the streak in her, yada. They get into a brawl, and then all of a sudden their match comes. And it was a solid match. It was all about, is Nikki too nice? Is she too nice? Alexa's on commentary going, no, she's not. She's my best friend. She can do this. Lacey sprays sanitizer in Nikki Cross's eyes, which is really unique. I've not seen that before. I also don't know how that wasn't a disqualification. One of the announcers, I think it's Cole, mentions it. I'm a bit confused on that as well. But then Nikki Cross snaps, wins with a DDT. Really good end of the match. After that, Lacey falls out the ring. She mentions the Fiend. Alexa goes into a trance, hits Sister Abigail, and then walks off. Blanks Nikki, walks off. I think that was a really good match. Lacey Evans is a great performer. Nikki Cross is a great performer. This goofy character of her, I think they could have done a bit better with, but she's working with it and she's making it work well. Alexa as well, I don't know what's happening, but it's making me interested to watch SmackDown every week between her, Bray, and even now Roman Reigns' new character. Between the three of them, they're making SmackDown feel a bit better, a bit more momentum. It's certainly starting to push with Raw now as an entertaining product instead of just being the B product. I still think it's got a bit of a way to go, but they are making it a lot more entertaining. I look forward to SmackDown as much as Raw now, which, I don't know, depending on your outlook, is it getting better or are they just both getting worse? I don't know. I think they're both getting better slowly but surely. And I think once the crowds are allowed back in, whenever that may be, that will help a lot as well. Because although the Thunderdome does look good, it's not the same. And next, guys, we have Sasha Banks' interview. She says about how she's heartbroken, and then she says, Bayley, you'd be nowhere without me. I don't get this. Why have you done this? Bayley comes from behind, goes to wrap her head in the chair and stamp on it again, and luckily people bring her away. I think this is a really, really good rivalry. It was an obvious one. You always knew they'd split up, but you never thought it'd be Bayley that turned. Well, not in my eyes anyway. You guys might have seen this coming. I thought Sasha Banks would, because they were teasing her looking at Bayley with all the gold. You know, it was DOS belts Bayley at one point. It looked really like they were going to bring it, you know, Sasha and Bayley losing the tag team titles. But it was Bayley that turned, and I quite like Bayley as a heel. The whole hugging character was good in NXT. It was, you know, but this is really, really good. And apparently Vince really likes her as a heel. And you can see why. She's performing incredibly well doing it. And I hope it lasts for Bayley. And this will be a good push for Sasha as well now as a baby face for a change. Instead of being the one who betrays, she's the one who's been betrayed. There's a bit more sympathy on her now. So yeah, it's really, really solid. Next we have AJ Styles, who defeats Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn gets introduced, not as the Intercontinental Champion. He complains. AJ attacks him before the bell, then puts him in the ring, tries to get a quick count, no avail. They wrestle well. Zayn hasn't wrestled for 6 months, I think they said. He wrestled really, really well. AJ gets the win with a roll-up holding his pants after Zayn had just tried it. And then Zayn complains to the ref and goes, he was holding my pants. The ref is like, no, he wasn't. He then attacks Styles. Then Hardy comes out, attacks both of them, gets a ladder, attacks him again, and says he's sick of being called a fraud and he wants a triple threat match at Clash of Champions. This again, really, really good. I really like Sami Zayn. I think he's this whole I've never been beaten thing's quite funny. It's also true, to be fair, he's never beaten. I think obviously I don't know who's going to go over in the Clash of Champions. I think it's going to be Jeff Hardy really. But I like it. It's going to be a ladder match as well, which is always entertaining. It's Jeff Hardy's forte. So, and him and AJ Styles can perform quite well. Sami Zayn is a high flyer as well. He's not, you know, he doesn't do it as much now as he used to, but that dive through the turnbuckle for the DDT that he used to do is absolutely amazing. So it'll be a really, really good acrobatic match, I think. Next we have Otis, who gets served. It says, give up the Money in the Bank contract or you're going to court. Otis at first was like, oh, what am I being served? Bacon, butties, you know, that sort of like old rubbish jokes. But yeah, so we'll see next week when he goes to court. I don't know what court will be. They've had a couple of court segments in WWE. They've always been entertaining. So we'll have to wait and see. Then we move on to Big E, who comes out, attacks Sheamus. Sheamus manages to get away, and then Big E sees the security guard. He managed to lure him in when Sheamus attacked him. So Big E attacks him. It looks really, really rough. He's rubbing his like forearms against his face. He does the belly to belly on a car, smashing through the windscreen, then puts him in the boot before Adam Pearce comes and makes the save and says, stop it, stop it. It'd be really good to have seen how far that had gone. I think taking him for a joyride would have been where he ended up going. But yeah, it was really, really good. It's good to see them building Big E as a powerhouse, not just as a entertainment character, because he is entertainment. But I saw someone say online about when he had his first singles match, he rolled down to the ring and people were like, you can't take him seriously. But this side of him will be good, where he can entertain, but you don't want to get on the wrong side of him. So I think that's how they need to push Big E if he's to push for a title. I hope he does. I think he's an incredible performer. Really, really solid guy. I love that spear he does through the ropes, although every time he does it, I do think he's going to break his neck. But he's a really, really great guy. He's very charismatic. And even when he was a heel with Ziggler, I always thought he was good. So I really hope he does get the push he quite rightfully deserves. We see a woman in a vintage, you know, the promo bit. I think it's Carmella. I've seen online it's Carmella. That'd be interesting. It'd be good to see Carmella back. The women's division could do with another contender. The more the better. The more top performers as well, the better. And NXT's always pushing more great talent out, so it looks really good for women's wrestling again if they bring Carmella back as well. So obviously storyline, creative dependent, but the performers themselves are good now, so there's no excuse really. It's just all on creative. Now we have our main event, and our main event is Reigns and Uso versus Sheamus and Corbin. Reigns and Uso win. Jey Uso gets the pin as well. It starts off really, really good. Corbin and Sheamus dominate. They take rid of Jey Uso. Then they start going in on Roman. They just absolutely batter Roman. Then Roman regroups, throws a chair at Corbin that looks absolutely brutal. And then Corbin, it gets Samoan drop through the announce table. Reigns does it to Sheamus through the announce table. And then Corbin goes to attack Reigns. And then Jey Uso hits him with the belt. Corbin obviously goes backwards into a spear, and then the splash and the pin. It ends with Roman Reigns being a bit like, I didn't get the pin, an ego thing. He's like, I don't really like this. They hug, they're smiling. Jey Uso walks down the ramp, he's like, get in. And then Reigns, when his back's turned, stops smiling, turns into a frown. I think where they're going with this is really, really good. I don't know if earlier on in the show, they did a whole montage of the Reigns family that Heyman narrated. It was really good. Mentioned his whole lineage, Umaga, Yokozuna, the father, the Wild Samoans, Rikishi. It was really, really good. And then like he's saying about how good Reigns is, The Rock, and he's like, and Jey Uso obviously has done a bit well with the help of his brother. And Heyman narrates it really, really well to sell it as Reigns and Jey Uso. I think it's really, really good. It'll be interesting. This is where you really see Reigns turn as a heel when he absolutely demolishes one of his own family members. I also think it might tease really well for The Rock Reigns, which they wanted last year. I think it was, but like they're still really hot on, and that'd be interesting. Reigns going against The Rock coming back going, what are you doing? I think it'll lead on really, really well. Just as a side note as well, Jey Uso's haircut is absolutely incredible. It's a mullet type thing, and I'm all here for that. It's an absolutely phenomenal haircut, and for that alone, I kind of want him to win the title. I know he won't, but if it went by haircuts, his beats Roman's. But yeah, guys, that's been the SmackDown review. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you all for Monday Night Raw.